Welcome to Planet MicroCap. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and joining me right now is Michael McFadden. He is the CEO of Alpha Cognition. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you, ACOG on the TSX Venture and ACOGF on the OTCQB. And Alpha Cognition will be presenting at our upcoming investor conference, the Planet MicroCap Showcase, taking place in Las Vegas, April 25 through 27, 2023. For more information to see the Alpha Cognition presentation, please go to planetmicrocapshowcase.com. And with that, Michael, thank you for joining me here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. So it's actually been a while since we last did an interview together to get an update. So, but before we get into all of that, can you give us that quick overview of the company that for folks that haven't heard about Alpha Cognition, and then we'll go from there?
Sure. So Alpha Cognition is a company focused on neurodegenerative diseases. These are diseases of the brain that degrade quality of life and ultimately sometimes can take life. Our two primary focuses are Alzheimer's disease. We often refer to that as AD. I think most in the audience have had some familiarity with this, and that a neighbor or loved one has suffered from this terrible disease. So we have a late stage asset in that condition. And then we have our early stage asset in a condition called TBI. That's traumatic brain injury, think concussion. And we'll be pursuing an indication in that arena late this year, early next year.
Very good. All right. So the last time we did an interview together was actually, well, a little over a year ago, or a year and change. We published that on November 22nd, 2021. So let's get that update. What would you say are some of the company's highlights for the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we had a very busy clinical year in 2022. We completed 3 pivotal trials for the company. All were successful. We had 2 pivotal trials versus IR galantamine. This is our comparator drug for AD that we have to prove bioequivalence to for approval. And then we did a 3rd trial versus galantamine ER, also showing bioequivalence. So all 3 trials were what we needed to complete our NDA for FDA for product approval. We completed all those successfully in 2023. So a whirlwind of clinical activity in 2023 for the company.
Very good. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I mean, well, let's address a couple of news items as well. You know, I saw for 2023, the departure of the chief medical officer. Let's talk about that. That's probably important in how the company is addressing it. What happened?
Yeah, so the timing actually, it's never a good time to lose good people. Cedric O'Gorman was our chief medical officer. He's a great human being and a great medical officer. But the timing, if there ever is a good timing, it was actually good for the company as well as Cedric, in that our clinical trial work had all been completed. And so that clinical trial work Cedric oversaw in 2022. But as we brought that to a close, the need to run additional clinical trials very limited for the company. And actually the work that we're doing in 2023 is more regulatory in nature. So we already had a partnership with one of the top regulatory firms in the world, definitely in the United States, and they're leading that regulatory function for the company as we prepare our NDA. So we feel like we have not missed a beat. We've got a lot of engagement with our regulatory firm of thousands of people. We have a team of about 40 that are working on our file. And so we feel like we have been able to pass the storm of chief medical officer leaving. In fact, we're so confident we've chosen not to replace that role in 2023. We'll look forward to replacing that role in 2024.
For sure. And I appreciate you answering that question, because I'm sure folks will see that and be like, what?
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. So, now looking ahead, you kind of alluded to it a little bit already, but in your opinion, what would you say, and from what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's value catalysts then for 2023?
Yeah, so obviously the primary focus for the company is on the clinical side is to submit our NDA and have that NDA accepted by the FDA. That's the governing body that will approve our product in the United States. The submission and the acceptance of that NDA, 2 key events for the company. Third, capital is an issue for every biotech pharma company. 2022, it is again in 2023. So we just completed a bridge round to provide some capital for the company. We'll undertake an additional round later this year. Our ability to complete that round, I think, will bolster investor confidence in the company that we can have the money necessary to complete our NDA file. Then on the early stage asset and TBI, we have a meeting, a pre-IND meeting with FDA the mid part of this year. So in that meeting, we'll try to gain approval to move forward in clinical trials for TBI. So should that be granted, we would submit an IND and have that IND approved the latter part of this year. So that's quite exciting also for the company. For investors, I think it provides additional catalyst in that's a $3.5 billion market, no approved product in the world.
So Michael, you're, like I said, you're going to be in Vegas doing a presentation, doing potentially one-on-ones with attendees. We're putting this interview up on your company profile page once we put it out there. So, my final question for you, in your opinion, what would you say are the 3 reasons why folks should want to take a one-on-one meeting with you in Vegas?
Yeah, I think one, to find out more about the company's late stage asset. We're one of the only companies in the world with a late stage asset for Alzheimer's disease. If we're successful, we'll have one of the only drugs approved in the last 15 years for Alzheimer's disease. So if an investor thinks about the potential value of such an approval, where the company's trading at today, and what those inflection points can mean for an investment in our company, you definitely want to take a meeting with us to find out more about that program, what the potential risk and the inflection points are for the investor. Number 2, if there is interest in bifurcating risk mitigating risk, you definitely want to take a meeting to hear about our TBI asset. We have some of the top data that we have completed for that asset in the last 20 years for TBI. And I think it'll be really fascinating for investors to figure out, hey, is this something I may choose to invest in to have that additional catalyst?
Very good. Well, Michael, thank you so much. Where can our audience go and find more information on Alpha Cognition?
Yeah, so you can find us at alphacognition.com. We're also on all social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. And you'll see updates from the company. We encourage you to follow us on that social media and you'll stay updated on the company.
Very good. Well, Michael, like I said, thank you so much for joining me here today. Really do appreciate it. Good luck, stay safe, and I'll see you in Vegas.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.